my grandchild. We need really decisive leadership. We need leaders who can pull this community together to work for land and people, to make this place safe, to work against the climate changing as it is, to remedy this, and we need this really urgently. Please, hear us.
We're here in Parliament House, occupying the lower house. We're now going to hear from Sue.
Hi, my name's Sue. I'm a grandmother to a 3-year-old boy and about to be a grandmother again to a baby girl in 2 weeks' time. I don't want them to live through climate disruption, extreme climate events, 50-degree days and shortages of food. So we need climate action now.
Thanks, Sue.
I actually think...
We're just hearing from fellow rebels about why they're here today.
My name is Mary Heath, and this is my granddaughter Enya, who was born in February. And in the days after she was born, as I cradled her tiny vulnerable head in my hands, in love and awe, it was so hard not to also think about all the hard things that she's going to face and how much harder it's going to be for children in far more vulnerable, poorer parts of the world like Africa and the Pacific Islands. The consensus of science tells us that we've got 12 years of emergency level action to turn this situation around, and I want to see that action in our state and in our country, and right now there is no sign of promise, and that is why we're here, to compel governments to act for all of the children, all of the future generations everywhere on this planet.
We're here in the lower house of the South Australian government. Now we're going to hear from Danielle.
These are my 3 children. They're 16, 13 and 5, and I'm here today for them. I'm here today for all of the children in the world because I think that our current consensus of our political and economic system of doing nothing is not an option, that we have to do something now, and that's why I'm here.
Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm here because me and my 2 brothers are the face of climate change. All the science is telling us that me and my brothers are going to experience more intense bushfires, more often, more heat waves, millions of climate refugees, including climate refugees even in Australia due to sea level rise and desertification. So for me, there is no other option. It's either act now or have a future that is dire where I watch the world burn. Act now.
Hi, I'm Annika, and this is a photo of my mum, her mum, and her mum. And I'm here because, you know, considering the climate crisis that we're in and considering the future projections and the extreme weather, which is going to be coupled with, you know, more extreme social circumstances and more unrest and more tension as living becomes a lot harder for everyone, I just would never want to have a kid and continue this line. And, you know, that would be a nice thing.
Hello, my name's Wayne. I love wildlife and I love wild places. And I'd like to think that future generations could also enjoy the places and things that I've seen in my lifetime. Instead, however, we have the barrier reef disappearing right before our eyes. And on top of that, we are facing the 6th mass extinction of life on Earth, losing 200 species a day, and even our own species at risk. So I'm here in this House to ask this Parliament to take this crisis seriously.
There's a couple of solidarity comments. So solidarity from Victoria, and that they're here with us from outside.
Thank you. My name is Bea. These are my children around 35 years ago. We talked to them on this picture about the world map, and there were some signs where London and other maps were, where the directions were. They were very interested, and after that we talked about lots of important issues about climate and looking after the earth. They are now having children and they are very worried, and as I heard somebody else saying, I've got a 9-month-old grandchild. I mean myself, at least, my husband is 80. And I was extremely happy to see my family grow to another family, but I'm not sure if he's going to make it, and that's why I'm here.
We're here in the lower House of Parliament of South Australia, speaking our truth.
My name is Paul. I'm a father, a grandfather. I care for the world, I care for my grandchildren. I think we're at great risk. Climate change is going to change so many places, so many ecosystems. It's going to have political, agricultural, detrimental effect. It's time for us to wake up now, and I really hope you can join me. Thank you.
My name is Nikki. This photo was taken in 1984 when I was a young woman. The child is 6 months old. At that time, I had already been involved in the successful civil disobedience campaign to stop the damming of the Franklin River. I was aware then, and many of my friends were aware then, scientists were aware then of the dangers of global warming. I have worked since that time to make as many of the changes possible as I could. Here we are. We have until 2030, that is now 11 years, to stop warming beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade. It is going to take massive civil disobedience. Our governments have shown that they are not yet able to stand up to the forces who are resisting the changes that are necessary. I will continue with civil disobedience, as will all the people here today.
My name's Mag. This is my special friend, Mareki. I want us to start right now building the better future that we want. We've seen the kids out in the street. We don't need to leave it to the kids. They need our support to build their better future and our better future, starting right now, and that's going to be a better future in all sorts of ways. Start now.
Yeah. Now, we're live.
Hello, my name's Jane. I'm here today because I'm really concerned about the climate catastrophe. I was really moved one day in one of our meetings when we shared our motivations and the reasons we got involved with Extinction Rebellion. There was a woman there who said that she had taken the decision not to have children because she was so concerned about the impending climate catastrophe, and she just didn't want to bring children into the world. Her words have stayed with me so strongly. What a decision to have to make. And I just feel so upset that people are having to make those kinds of decisions today, while our politicians and other people who have power to actually make changes and to make the significant changes that are needed aren't doing anything. So I want to do all that I can to prevent the catastrophe that is looming. Thank you.
Thank you. We're here.
I would like to see and do a motion for it to come out, looking at what our scientists have come out with over the whole world, and I trust them because they know what they're doing after all those years doing tests and studies, that the government will come out with the truth and not hide behind their convenience and trust the scientists, because that's what I do, and I believe that that's the only way that we can go forward of saving this world, this earth.
The Honourable Minister Dunn, second motion.
We're here in the lower house of the South Australian Parliament, passing the motions that we feel need to be made right now.
Does anyone wish to speak in favour of the motion?
I'd like to speak in favour of the motion. I speak in support of the motion of calling on the governments at all levels in Australia, to tell us the truth about the crisis that we are facing and to act on that truth. We have had enough deceitful statements, comments about meeting our Paris agreements, while we learn that meanwhile that plan includes credits for long ago from the Kyoto Agreement. We have had enough of silence around the critical issues which face us when we start to be hit not only by refugees from war in the millions, but refugees from climate change. There is silence on these issues. We hear about the emergency service heads who are calling on the federal government to take seriously the climate crisis we are facing, and the floods and bushfires we can expect. We want governments to acknowledge the situation we're in and to act, instead of feeding us half-truths and lies. We've had enough.
I would also like to speak in support of the motion, and I believe that the urgency of this situation is not comprehended generally by the community or the government, and that the media has a very special role in this. That without telling the truth, they are complicit, criminally negligent in their complicity. They need to allow the community to make their own minds up on the facts. The facts need to be presented clearly, daily, publicly, and it's their job, the media's job.
The audio on the live streams is very quiet. I suggest people who are speaking go up to the front to speak and speak as loudly as you're prepared to do.
I would like to speak on the motion that the media and our government, federal and state, tell the truth about climate change and the true catastrophe we're in. This is a moment in history where we decide in the next 12 years whether or not catastrophic climate change happens or it doesn't. And to see our government kicking around federally these pitiful little piecemeal climate action plans that don't even hope to address our Paris agreements, not to mention the actual true level of action we need, is ridiculous. And it creates a sense of apathy and despair in my own heart, because I know that for real action to happen, we as Australians need to lead this charge. We're the windiest, we're the sunniest, one of the sunniest places on Earth. We have the energy, the resources to be able to create a renewable economy and start exporting that to the world. We have a real opportunity and we need to be seizing it right now. Not next year, not 5 years down the track, right now.
Yeah. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak for the motion?
Yes, I also would like to speak for the motion. I read a quote recently by a woman called Kate Marvel, who said that we're in for catastrophe and societal collapse was imminent. And I thought to myself, who is this woman to say such a thing? That's pretty dramatic. So I looked up who she is. She's a climatologist. She's also a researcher for NASA Space Research for the Goodard Institute. So I thought, well, perhaps we should be listening to her and others like her for making such predictions. Well, I think that the motion should stand.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favour of this motion?
Yeah, I think the media and the government needs to tell the truth, not only about the science, but also about the societal structures which are causing, you know, like the structure of consumerism. That we're constantly always needing things and taking so much from the planet when we don't actually need any of these things. You know, this energy consumption, we're such an energy greedy state, and we're still using that from coal. You know, we should be using renewable power, like cutting down our energy a bit more, and renewable power for the poor as well, and trying to solve inequality with this like just transition. So, and look at kind of like the social ramifications as well of climate change if people start getting scared and fear drives people to do the wrong things. So, you know, it's very complex, and it's not just the climate, but it's going to be everything.
One of the complexities that hasn't been looked at properly in Australia is that the future as a renewable, sustainable society holds enormous prospects for jobs. And as a continent, we're capable, as the Honourable Jamie suggested, we're capable of leaping into that and taking full advantage of that. But in fact, we as a community are being let down by a government who is failing to look at any of those jobs, to do the training, to do the changes that are required for those jobs to be real, for those jobs to be supporting people's families, mortgages, lifestyles. We can do this. We can do this fabulously.
I'm Paul. We're being asked to tell the truth, but the truth often is a difficult thing to face. This truth about our ecology, our future, climate change is a very threatening truth. It requires courage to look at that truth, and I'd like to support everybody in finding the courage to look at that truth.
I'd like to support the motion, and I was really touched by the last speaker who talked about how scary it is to look at the truth, and I know that's true for me. Sometimes I think I just don't want to hear any more about the icebergs melting or the storm that's happening. But unless we all sit down and face those truths and face the fact that those wild climate activities are going to worsen, that droughts are going to be worse, the sea level is rising, unless we all stand and look at those things for the truth that they are, things won't change. I would really like to see in this chamber the politicians all really thinking about those truths, studying that information, and realising that now is the time that they can take action that as politicians it's possible to do things in our state that can be a good model for other places in the world. And for me that's really important. So I say, tell the truth.
I'd just like to add another thing. It's important to realise, for me, that the truth is not always as crystal clear as our mainstream media and our politicians make out. Oftentimes, fossil fuel industries, through their own self-interest and their own short-term goal on a profit margin, sabotaging our fight for a safe climate future. They're sabotaging our ability to create renewable energy 100% and to move Australia from where we are now to a renewable state or a renewable country. So when we're talking about our courage, it's important for us to be courageous because we really are going to decide whether or not this happens. Big business, the big end of town, they have very little incentive. It's the people that are going to decide whether or not we move from where we are now to a safe climate future or we continue to climate catastrophe.